producer, Connie Plank, and he was involved in your next phase of Cluster, which is Cluster spelled with a C, which is the one that had a lot longer, and that was much more you and Moebius as a duo, but it was flexible as well. Could you tell me how you met Connie Plank, and tell me a bit what kind of a relationship you had working with him?
Connie Plank was a producer of those first beautiful records, Klopfzeichen and Osterei. So we met him in the studio where our producer, a cantor from a church, wrote us to produce this music, this records, and we immediately became friends. He was a very open-minded guy, and when these records were done, we met again in Hamburg, and because Moebius and I, we still lived in a car, and we had no place to stay, and we had no money, we had nothing to eat. So Connie hosted us in his home there. It was the Villa Kunterbund, where Udo Lindenberg and all famous guys from Hamburg at the time lived and worked. And there Connie was there working in the studio, and so we did the first Cluster record with C, and the second record with C, the Star record. And we got every year we got deeper into friendship. And he was then our main producer for a long time until he died. A great guy, a really great guy, and so inventive.
Was he the kind of producer who would actually help you to shape your ideas if they were slightly unformed? Yeah. So he took quite an active part.
Yeah. He was a third member of Cluster, in fact, because he also went with us on tour with his mobile studio, and he designed a lot of our music, when not even on records, also on tours. Yeah. And he played also live. He played trumpet, he played drums.
And those first Cluster records, there's a lot of involving long tape loops, is that right? They were constructed in a... Could you describe the studio setup a bit? I've heard that it was a very long corridor which you could have long tape loops.
Yeah, that's what Brian Eno also did. He used long tape loops, and yes, just to make loops, of course, yeah, sequences, which was new at the time. But afterwards, when Brian Eno came in the game and he worked with Connie Plank on our two Cluster and Eno records, we also used sequences.
Here's a I've just got I'll just play something from that first Cluster album, just to... I'd love to let the whole 15 minutes of that play, but I mean, it's a sort of a cliche to say, music that sounds ahead of its time. But I have to say, there's music being made that's got those qualities now. I would say. I mean, I think it's a phenomenal achievement that those early Cluster records, in terms of anticipating a way of thinking about music that evolves over long durations, kind of texturally evoking this deep immersion in something as you go, and sounding with really kind of alien electronic textures. It's a remarkable thing. I mean, how did it? What was your feeling about that music at the time? Were you thinking in terms of creating something that sounded out of this world, or did it sound to you like a music of the everyday for you?
No, we just did it. We liked to do what we did, and in which way we did it. It was our given profession in a way. We just did it. We liked it so much that we worked 40 years together, maybe, and it's a long time for two guys playing together, loving each other.
Yeah, just loving each other. Was there a sort of dynamic in that relationship? Often in partnerships, there's a sort of yin and yang, or there's different people bring different things. Could you talk a bit about the nature of that relationship?
We were totally different. When I never could speak to Roedelius more than once a year. we only communicated through music. It's true. We lived our own lives. Even so, we lived in a community. We had our own situations. But to talk to Roedelius, as I talked, for example, to Connie Blanc, we spoke all night. We sat down and spoke all night. It was not possible. Roedelius was a different universe, and I was a different universe. I think that's the base why it worked so well.
People say that about marriage sometimes, don't they? But I mean, those early records. I mean, it's quite interesting looking at the way you made them. I believe you were using different kinds of electronic organs, and Hawaiian guitar is on there. Is that right? And kind of setting up loops and echoes and.
In the beginning, Konrad Schnitzler provided Roedelius a whole battery from iron stuff, picked up his microphones, and then we went over to have each one. We had an organ. I played the guitar, I played the cello, Roedelius played the knee violin, and all these electronic gear, tone generators and machines which made nice noises. People gave us gifts of little self-made machines to make nice noises. And it was always very adventurous to work with the equipment, because we didn't know what we do. We just had to start, and then came, and sometimes it didn't come.
Yeah, there's no manual for the kind of method you were using. Yeah, and that's probably what makes it so fresh in a way. Yeah. And so after about a year of working in Berlin, you have this really important change of scene. You moved into the countryside in Germany, a place called Forst in Lower Saxony, which was very rural Germany, and you occupied a nearly falling down old farmhouse, I believe, and that's where Cluster developed, and you were visited by Michael Rother, the guitarist from Neu, where you also formed another group, Harmonia. That period is obviously really important in your artistic development, and it's paralleled with a lot of people at the time. I'm very interested also in the British connection between city and country, and lots of musicians wanted to move away from the city and find a kind of new inspiration in the landscape and so on. Can you talk a bit about that move and what it meant for your art at the time?
For me, Forst was like landing in the paradise after the evacuation from Berlin in 43. So 43, 53, 63, 73, 40 years of wandering, no, 30 years of wandering around, not over the globe, but in Europe. No really no quiet place to stay. All the time with somewhere with somebody, and I mean it was very fruitful, but landing there, that was like paradise. It was a beautiful situation beside a river, and we had to work to refurbish our houses, to make it comfortable. For 1 year we only worked hard to make nice spaces for us, for each of us. And we had to go to the woods to bring the woods down, because we had to heat our rooms ourselves. We had to bake our breads ourselves, to make our marmalade ourselves. We lived a really rural life. It was a sort of gift from incredible value, to be able to do something which nobody normally gets the gift to do that. To work really with his hands and to earn the living, to really earn the living. So for me it was paradise, and I always sat at night in our rural studio, which was just an empty room, to work on my first self-portrait material beside the workers' cluster in Harmonia. And this girl came to our place on our way to somewhere. This girl there, look, turn yourself. And she dared to stay with me. Poor girl. She really had a hard time with me. Oh God, impossible. I'm writing it in my book. She is a hero. She is really my hero. No, I know. With